Frank Miller is.
All right. We all know what Miller's like.
Grace Kelly, famed for her role in High Noon, reportedly took on a daring disguise to visit President John F. Kennedy, slipping past Jackie Kennedy by dressing as a nurse. This bold move paints a vivid picture of intrigue and secrecy behind the scenes of Hollywood and politics. Meanwhile, in High Noon, the tension builds as Will Kane, played by Gary Cooper, faces the return of a vengeful outlaw, Frank Miller, while preparing to start a new life with Amy, portrayed by Kelly. The story captures the essence of courage and loyalty as Kane stands alone against danger, echoing the unexpected bravery Kelly herself showed off-screen. This blend of cinematic drama and real-life audacity highlights a fascinating chapter where fiction and reality intertwine.
Anything that comes along. Well, to me, that makes sense.
Unlike many Western films of its era, this movie chose to focus less on action-packed scenes and more on the emotional struggles of its characters. The hero, played by Gary Cooper, is not the fearless gunslinger typical of the genre. Instead, he shows fear and vulnerability, which makes him more human and relatable. The townspeople around him are not brave allies, but rather cowardly individuals who avoid standing up to danger, adding to the tension and realism of the story. Gary Cooper's performance is deeply compelling, capturing the complexity of a man facing overwhelming odds and inner doubts. The director's careful guidance and Foreman's well-crafted screenplay work together to create a film that feels fresh and intense. This combination of a reluctant hero, a fearful community, and a slow-building sense of threat helped the film rise above many others and become remembered as one of the best westerns ever made.
Anybody taking your place there, can you? Especially me.
The origins of the 1952 movie High Noon have sparked considerable debate over time. Officially, the film is based on a story called The Tin Star, written by John Cunningham. However, Carl Foreman, the screenwriter, claimed that he had developed a similar idea independently before purchasing the rights to Cunningham's story. This action was taken to avoid any legal complications, but it also raised questions about the true source of the film's concept. Foreman's version suggests that the story was born from his own creative efforts, rather than being solely adapted from Cunningham's work. This controversy adds an interesting layer to the film's history, as it reflects the complexities of creative ownership in Hollywood. The debate continues to invite discussion about how ideas are shared, adapted, and credited within the movie industry.
I know you're not, but you know how he is.
Although some viewers and critics interpreted the 1952 film as having political undertones, the director emphasized that the movie was primarily a gripping tale centered on compelling characters and one man's moral choice. The story focuses on the personal struggle of the main character as he faces a difficult decision, rather than serving as a political statement or commentary. The director wanted the audience to engage with the human drama and ethical dilemmas rather than searching for hidden political messages. This approach allowed the film to resonate on a personal level, highlighting themes of courage, loyalty, and integrity without being tied to specific political contexts. The emphasis remained on storytelling and character development, with politics playing no significant role in the film's core narrative.
Only takes a smart man to know when to back away.
I can't pick my company when I drink any.
The storytelling in the 1952 movie High Noon was designed to unfold in real time, a technique that director Fred Zinnemann and producer Stanley Kramer aimed to achieve. The film's narrative covers roughly 100 minutes of events, while the actual runtime is 84 minutes. To maintain the real-time feel, the clocks shown in the movie move faster than normal, syncing the story's timeline with the film's length. This approach creates a sense of urgency and immediacy, making viewers feel as if they are experiencing the tension alongside the main character, Marshall Will Kane. The real-time storytelling method heightens the drama by showing the countdown to the arrival of the antagonist, emphasizing every moment's importance without jumping ahead or slowing down. This technique was quite innovative for its time, and helped High Noon stand out as a suspenseful and tightly paced Western. By aligning the film's pace closely with the story's timeline, the audience remains fully engaged, witnessing the unfolding crisis almost as it happens. The use of accelerated clock movement is a clever device that bridges the gap between the film's shorter length and the longer span of the story's events, ensuring the real-time effect feels natural and convincing.
I'm sure glad you're here.
I couldn't figure out what was keeping you. Time's getting pretty short.
Sure is.
Though many films in 1952 were made in color, the director and producer of High Noon decided to shoot the movie in black and white after they were unhappy with the first color footage. They found that the black and white film gave the movie a more powerful and striking look. This choice helped create a strong mood and added to the story's tension. The sharp contrasts and shadows in black and white highlighted the emotions and drama better than color could. By using black and white, the filmmakers made a bold decision that made the movie visually unique and memorable, helping it stand out among other films of its time. The choice also matched the serious and tense atmosphere of the story, making every moment feel more intense and real.
Comes in.
Can you handle the guns?
Sure I can.
Gary Cooper's performance in the 1952 movie High Noon was deeply influenced by his real-life struggles with health and personal issues. His convincing portrayal of a man facing intense inner conflict was shaped by his battle with stomach ulcers and persistent back problems, which caused him physical pain and discomfort during filming. These health challenges added a layer of authenticity to his character's troubled demeanor. Additionally, Cooper was dealing with emotional turmoil from his recent separation and the end of a significant affair with Patricia Neal. This personal heartbreak brought a genuine sense of vulnerability and complexity to his role, making his character's isolation and moral struggle more believable. The combination of physical suffering and emotional distress allowed Cooper to channel his own experiences into the character, creating a performance that resonated deeply with audiences and critics alike. His ability to convey quiet strength, despite visible pain, helped define the film's powerful emotional core and contributed to its lasting impact.
You get some of the other fellas, Will, and I'll still go through with it.
Grace Kelly was cast as Amy in High Noon without the need for an audition, a decision made solely based on a photograph that impressed the producers. However, as the production progressed, the producer began to feel that Kelly was miscast, primarily due to her youthful appearance, which did not align with the character's intended depth and maturity. The film's short 4-week shooting schedule was not only marked by the tension of the storyline, but also by a flurry of romantic encounters among the cast. Notably, there were reported affairs between Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly, which added a layer of intrigue to the set. Additionally, Grace Kelly was involved in a romantic relationship with the director, further complicating the dynamics on set. The screenwriter also found himself entangled in a romance with supporting actress Katie Jurado, showcasing a whirlwind of relationships that unfolded during the filming. These on-set affairs contributed to the film's atmosphere, blending personal drama with the professional challenges of creating a classic Western. The interactions among the cast members reflected the intensity of the film's themes, making the production of High Noon as memorable off-screen as it was on-screen. Grace Kelly grew up in a wealthy family, which shaped much of her early life and experiences. Despite her privileged background, she was sent to a women-only school in New York to straighten her behavior because she often acted out. One of the more shocking stories from this time includes her dancing nude in front of her roommates, showing a rebellious side that contrasted with her polished public image. During the early 1950s, Grace Kelly became involved in an intense romance with John F. Kennedy. Their relationship was serious enough that marriage was a real possibility. However, the romance was cut short when Kennedy's father intervened, ending the relationship to protect his son's political career. This decision had a lasting impact on both of their lives, as Grace Kelly went on to become a famous actress, and later a princess, while Kennedy continued his path toward the presidency. The story of their romance remains a fascinating glimpse into the personal lives behind public figures of that era. In 1954, John F. Kennedy was recovering from a difficult back surgery, a time when he needed comfort and support the most. During this period, Grace Kelly, the famous actress and future Princess of Monaco, paid him a special visit. She arrived dressed as a nurse, a thoughtful gesture that reportedly lifted JFK's spirits significantly. This visit was notable enough to catch the attention of gossip columnists of the time, who compared it to Marilyn Monroe's iconic Happy Birthday performance. The comparison highlighted the charm and impact of Grace Kelly's visit, suggesting it was a memorable and morale-boosting moment during JFK's recovery. This event remains a fascinating glimpse into the personal lives of these famous figures showing a side of care and kindness amid their public personas. It also reflects how small acts of kindness can have a great impact during challenging times, especially when coming from someone as admired as Grace Kelly.
So long, Mark.
Over time, High Noon has secured its place as a remarkable film that continues to draw viewers back for its distinctive take on the Western genre. Unlike many traditional Westerns that focus on grand, sweeping adventures, this film zeroes in on a tense, real-time countdown to a showdown, creating a gripping atmosphere that keeps audiences on edge. The performances are outstanding, with the cast delivering emotions that feel raw and genuine, making the characters memorable and relatable. The direction is equally impressive, skillfully building suspense and highlighting the moral dilemmas faced by the protagonist, which adds depth beyond the typical good versus evil story. This combination of unique storytelling, strong acting, and thoughtful direction has helped High Noon remain a classic that stands out in film history. It invites viewers to reflect on courage, duty, and the complexities of human nature, all wrapped in a compelling narrative that feels just as relevant today as it did when first released.
Well, that was part of your job. That's finished now. They've got a new marshal.
Won't be here till tomorrow.
High Noon, the 1952 Western directed by Fred Zinnemann, and starring Gary Cooper as Marshal Will Kane, stands as a compelling and multifaceted film that has sparked a wide range of interpretations and debates since its release. At its core, the film presents a stark portrayal of heroism and the complex nature of human character, exploring the tension between individual courage and communal responsibility. This narrative centers on Kane, who, newly married to pacifist Quaker Amy Fowler, attempts to leave his role as marshal behind, only to be confronted with the imminent return of a dangerous criminal, Frank Miller, arriving on the noon train. Kane is left to face this threat largely on his own, as the townspeople, embodying varying shades of cowardice and self-interest, refuse to stand with him. The film's real-time structure, unfolding over roughly an hour and a half, mirrors the suspenseful ticking clock motif underscored by Dmitri Tiomkin's memorable score, and the haunting theme song, Do Not Forsake Me, My Darling, which adds a rhythmic urgency and emotional depth to the narrative. This clever use of time and music enhances the film's tension and immerses the viewer in Kane's escalating isolation. Gary Cooper's performance is widely praised for its subtlety and strength, especially notable given his health challenges during filming. His portrayal of Kane captures the complexity of a man torn between his duty and his desire for a peaceful life. Grace Kelly's Amy Fowler provides a compelling counterpoint, embodying pacifism and moral conviction, yet ultimately demonstrating profound loyalty and courage by standing with her husband despite her beliefs. Their age difference, while noticeable, does not detract from the film's emotional resonance or the authenticity of their relationship, which adds a layer of personal sacrifice and commitment to the story. The film's depiction of the townspeople's abandonment of Kane has been a point of contention and interpretation. John Wayne famously criticized High Noon, labeling it the most un-American movie ever made, objecting particularly to Kane's decision to discard his marshal's badge and the portrayal of a community unwilling to defend itself. Wayne and director Howard Hawks later created Rio Bravo as a rebuttal, promoting a vision of Western heroism rooted in steadfastness and communal solidarity. This perspective reflects a traditionalist view of American values, emphasizing collective responsibility and public service. Conversely, many critics and viewers see High Noon as a nuanced exploration of individual morality and the loneliness of true heroism, rather than a defeatist or anti-American statement. The film's timing during the McCarthy era led some to interpret it as an allegory about blacklisting and standing up against oppression, though others argue this reading oversimplifies the film's themes. The narrative instead highlights the enduring human dilemma of facing adversity alone, the uncertainty of who can be trusted, and the personal costs of upholding justice in the face of widespread fear or apathy. The film also excels in its character development beyond Kane and Amy. Even the antagonists, including Frank Miller and his gang, are given moments that hint at deeper motivations and tragic elements, enriching the story's moral complexity. The debut of Lee Van Cleef as a menacing figure adds to the film's authentic Western atmosphere, while subtle visual cues, such as the symbolic focus on Miller's chair, reinforce the film's thematic weight. In sum, High Noon remains a landmark Western that transcends the genre's typical boundaries. It offers a rich, layered narrative that challenges viewers to consider the nature of courage, community, and personal conviction. Whether viewed as a celebration of heroism, a critique of societal cowardice, or a reflection on the burdens of leadership, the film's enduring power lies in its honest portrayal of the human condition and the timeless question of who will stand with us when we need them most.
Glory, glory, hallelujah.
As the final moments of High Noon fade, the story's tension lingers, but the journey doesn't end here. Beyond the closing credits lies a fascinating chapter where we uncover the lives behind the characters who brought this classic to life. What paths did these actors take once the cameras stopped rolling? Some found new fame, others faced unexpected struggles, and a few faded into quiet obscurity. This bonus segment reveals surprising twists and untold stories that add a deeper layer to the film's legacy. Stay with us as we explore the real-life dramas and triumphs of the cast, offering a rare glimpse into the world beyond the screen, where the echoes of High Noon still resonate in ways you won't want to miss.
The honeymoon is officially over. Come on, everybody. And don't look so shy.
John Caison's role as the barfly in the 1952 film High Noon, though brief, left a lasting impression through his gritty, understated presence. His character, a shadowy figure frequenting the town's saloon, embodied the restless, uneasy atmosphere that permeated the film. Caison's portrayal added depth to the background tension, his eyes reflecting the silent fears and unspoken stories of the Western frontier. After High Noon, Caison's career veered into numerous supporting roles, often typecast as tough, rugged men, but he never broke into leading parts. Off-screen, his life was marked by struggles with alcoholism and brushes with the law that shadowed his professional efforts. Rumors of a violent altercation in the late 1950s circulated, but were never fully confirmed, adding to his enigmatic reputation. Despite these hardships, Caison remained a dedicated actor, quietly working in television westerns through the 1960s. His later years are cloaked in mystery, with no public records or interviews after the early 1970s. The last known information hints at a reclusive life away from the spotlight, leaving his final days an unresolved chapter in Hollywood's darker history. Sheb Wooley's portrayal of Ben Miller in the 1952 film High Noon stands out as a quiet, but pivotal presence, embodying the tension and moral complexity of the town's uneasy calm. Unlike the lead roles, Miller's character is layered with subtle menace and vulnerability, reflecting the darker undercurrents of the story. Wooley's performance was marked by a restrained intensity that hinted at deeper struggles beneath the surface, setting the tone for his later career. After High Noon, Wooley's life took a winding path far from Hollywood's spotlight. He became better known for his dual career as a country singer and character actor, but his journey was shadowed by personal hardships, including a turbulent marriage and struggles with alcoholism. A notable scandal emerged in the 1970s when Wooley was briefly linked to a controversial incident involving a public altercation, though details remain murky and largely unconfirmed. His creative output often masked these struggles, with hits like The Purple People Eater providing a stark contrast to his private battles. In later years, Wooley withdrew from the public eye, living a reclusive life in Texas. The last known information places him quietly passing away in 2003, his legacy a mix of enigmatic roles and a haunting personal story that remains partially shrouded in mystery.
What are you all getting so excited about? How do we know Miller's on that train anyway?
We can be pretty...
Thomas Mitchell's portrayal of Mayor Jonas Henderson in the 1952 film High Noon is a subtle yet powerful embodiment of quiet authority and moral complexity. His character, a man caught between duty and fear, adds a layer of tension to the narrative, embodying the struggle of leadership under pressure. After High Noon, Mitchell's career continued with notable stage and screen roles, but his life was shadowed by personal hardships. He battled alcoholism, which deeply affected his health and professional reliability. Despite these struggles, he remained respected for his craft, earning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor earlier in his career. His personal life was marked by a complicated family dynamic and financial difficulties, revealing a man wrestling with demons behind the public face of success. In later years, Mitchell faded from the spotlight, his final days largely private and somber. The last known records indicate he passed away in 1962, leaving behind a legacy tinged with both artistic brilliance and personal tragedy.
My town, I've got friends here. I'll swear in a bunch of special deputies, and with a posse behind me, maybe there won't even be any trouble.
John Doucette's role as Trumbull in the 1952 film High Noon is a brief, but memorable presence, embodying the tough, no-nonsense character that added depth to the film's tense atmosphere. Though not a leading role, Doucette's portrayal brought a gritty realism that complemented the film's stark moral landscape. After High Noon, Doucette's career spanned decades, marked by steady work in film and television, often cast as rugged authority figures or villains. Despite professional consistency, his personal life was shadowed by struggles. He faced financial difficulties and battled alcoholism, which occasionally threatened his career stability. His private life remained largely out of the public eye, but whispers of a turbulent marriage and estrangement from family surfaced over time. Doucette's health declined in later years, exacerbated by his past addictions. The last known information places him quietly away from the spotlight, living a reclusive life until his death in 1994. His legacy remains that of a solid character actor whose life behind the scenes was marked by hardship and resilience. Harry Morgan's portrayal of Sam Fuller in the 1952 movie High Noon stands as a quiet yet pivotal force within the narrative's tension. His character, marked by stoic resolve and subtle menace, reflects a man caught between loyalty and survival, a role Morgan inhabited with a brooding intensity that added depth to the film's moral landscape. After High Noon, Morgan's career unfolded in a series of steady, if not headline-grabbing, roles across film and television, revealing a versatile actor often cast as authority figures or complex supporting characters. Off-screen, Morgan's life was shadowed by personal struggles, including a well-documented battle with alcoholism that threatened to derail his career during the 1960s. His resilience saw him rebound, but the scars of addiction and the pressures of Hollywood's demanding environment remained part of his story. Notably, Morgan was involved in a lesser-known controversy in the early 1970s when he was briefly linked to a scandal involving studio politics and contract disputes, though he managed to avoid lasting damage to his reputation. His later years were quieter, marked by a turn to mentoring younger actors and occasional guest appearances. The last known information places Morgan living away from the spotlight, having retreated into privacy, leaving behind a legacy tinged with both artistic achievement and the darker realities of a life in show business.
Thank you.
Katie Jurato's portrayal of Helen Ramirez in High Noon brought a complex, hardened edge to the film's tense atmosphere. Helen was a woman marked by her past, caught between loyalty and survival, embodying a quiet strength that contrasted sharply with the film's stark moral landscape. Jurato's performance was a rare moment of depth for a Latina actress in Hollywood at the time, breaking through stereotypes with a character both vulnerable and fierce. After High Noon, Jurato's career was a mix of acclaim and struggle. She became the first Latin American actress nominated for an Academy Award for her role in Broken Lance. Yet her path was never smooth. She faced persistent typecasting and the harsh realities of Hollywood's racial biases. Her personal life was equally turbulent, marked by rumors of affairs with powerful men and battles with alcoholism. Jurato's resilience was shadowed by periods of isolation and hardship, reflecting the darker side of fame. In her later years, she returned to Mexico, where she continued acting but remained a figure of mystery. Details about her final decades are sparse, with few public appearances and little media coverage. Katie Jurato passed away in 2002, leaving behind a legacy tinged with brilliance and struggle, a life as enigmatic as the characters she portrayed.
How can you sit here and talk and talk and talk like this?
What are we all getting so excited about? How do we know Miller's on?
Otto Kruger's portrayal of Judge Percy Metrick in the 1952 film High Noon stands out for its quiet authority and subtle menace, embodying a figure of law whose presence looms over the unfolding drama. Kruger brought a cold, measured intensity to the role, offering a stark contrast to the film's more overtly heroic characters. After High Noon, Kruger's career slowed, with fewer notable roles, yet he remained a respected character actor in Hollywood. His personal life, however, was marked by shadows. Known for his refined demeanor, Kruger faced struggles with alcoholism, which affected his work and relationships. Rumors circulated about his difficult temperament on set, though nothing was ever publicly confirmed. He lived a relatively private life away from the spotlight, avoiding scandal but also fading from public view. The last records show he passed away in 1974, leaving behind a legacy as a versatile actor who could convey complexity beneath a calm exterior. His life after High Noon reflects a man battling inner demons while maintaining a polished public face.
Seems like a man with busted knuckles didn't need arthritis too, don't it?
Larry J. Blake played the role of Gillison in the 1952 film High Noon, a character that, while not central, contributed to the tense, gritty atmosphere of the story. Blake's presence added a layer of authenticity to the Western setting, embodying the rough edges of the frontier life that the film portrayed. After High Noon, Blake's career continued with numerous supporting roles in film and television, often cast as tough or working-class characters. Despite a steady career, his life was marked by struggles, including battles with alcoholism that threatened to derail his progress. His personal hardships were compounded by the challenges of Hollywood's changing landscape, where roles for character actors became scarce. Notably, Blake was involved in a 1940s scandal concerning disputes over union activities in the Actors Guild, which cast a shadow over his reputation for a time. In later years, he retreated from the spotlight, living a quieter life away from the industry's glare. The last known information places him living modestly, with few public appearances, leaving much of his final years shrouded in mystery.
Helen Ramirez? It so happens I didn't know, and it doesn't mean anything to me one.
Lee Van Cleef's portrayal of Jack Colby in the 1952 film High Noon marked an early yet pivotal moment in his career, showcasing his natural edge and intensity that would later define his roles in Western cinema. As Colby, Van Cleef embodied a quiet menace, a figure whose presence hinted at deeper, darker motives beneath a calm exterior. This role foreshadowed the tough, often morally ambiguous characters he would become famous for. After High Noon, Van Cleef's career trajectory was far from smooth. He struggled through the 1950s with small parts and bit roles, often typecast as a villain, but rarely given a chance to shine. His breakthrough came in the 1960s with spaghetti westerns, where his sharp features and cold gaze made him a star. Off-screen, Van Cleef faced personal turmoil, including the tragic loss of his son in a car accident, a shadow that lingered over his later life. Rumors of clashes on set and struggles with alcohol painted a portrait of a man wrestling with inner demons. Despite hardships, he maintained a steady work ethic, appearing in numerous films and TV shows until his death in 1989 from a heart attack. His legacy remains one of complexity, a man shaped by loss and grit, whose roles captured the darker shades of the American West.
Have it your way.
All right. The truth is you probably talked against me from the start.
Jack Elam's portrayal of Charlie in the 1952 film High Noon was a glimpse into the kind of roles that would define his career: the eerie, unsettling villain with a penetrating gaze and a crooked smile. His character was less about dialogue and more about presence, a shadowy figure whose menace lingered long after he left the screen. Elam's distinctive appearance, marked by a lazy eye, became his trademark, lending an unnerving authenticity to his roles. After High Noon, his career expanded into hundreds of films and television shows, often cast as the bad guy, but occasionally breaking into comedic roles later in life, showing a surprising range. Behind the scenes, Elam's life was marked by personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism and the challenge of overcoming typecasting. Despite these hardships, he maintained a steady work ethic and a reputation for professionalism. His off-screen personality was reportedly warm, but guarded, shaped by a difficult childhood and the solitude that came with his unique looks. In his later years, Elam embraced his status as a cult figure in westerns and genre films, earning respect from peers and fans alike. The last known information places him as a quietly respected elder statesman of Hollywood westerns until his death in 2003. His legacy remains wrapped in the dark charm and mystery that he brought to every role. Lee Akers' role as the boy in the 1952 movie High Noon was brief, but memorable, adding a layer of innocence to the film's tense atmosphere. His character, a young witness to the unfolding drama, symbolized the vulnerability and fear that gripped the town. Akers' performance, though limited in screen time, helped ground the story in a relatable human element, contrasting the hardened adults around him. After High Noon, Akers' career took a turn toward television, most notably starring as Rusty in the popular series The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. However, His early fame did not shield him from hardship. As he grew older, Aker struggled to transition to adult roles, a challenge common among child actors. His personal life was marked by difficulties including financial troubles and brushes with the law. Reports surfaced of him facing homelessness and battling alcoholism, painting a stark picture of a once promising star's decline. Despite these struggles, Aker's legacy remains tied to his youthful roles that captured a sense of earnestness and hope. The last known information about him places him living quietly away from the spotlight, with few public appearances or updates, leaving his later years shrouded in mystery.
Want? Do you want me to get killed? Do you want to be a widow? Is that what you want?
Lloyd Bridges' portrayal of Deputy Marshal Harvey Pell in the 1952 film High Noon brought a quiet intensity to the role of a conflicted lawman caught in a moral crossfire. Bridges infused Pell with a sense of inner struggle, a man torn between duty and fear, which added depth to the film's tense atmosphere. After High Noon, Bridges' career spanned decades, marked by versatility in both film and television. He became widely known for his role in the TV series Sea Hunt, which solidified his place in popular culture. However, his life was not without shadows. Bridges faced the Hollywood blacklist during the McCarthy era, a dark period that threatened his career due to alleged communist ties, though he never publicly confirmed or denied these accusations. This period tested his resilience and forced him to navigate a precarious professional landscape. Beyond his career, Bridges endured personal hardships, including struggles with alcoholism, which he later overcame, demonstrating a capacity for personal redemption. His family life was equally complex, with two sons, Beau and Jeff Bridges, who both followed him into acting, continuing his legacy. Lloyd Bridges passed away in 1998, leaving behind a body of work marked by grit and sincerity. His last years were quiet, away from the spotlight, reflecting a man who had weathered both fame and adversity.
To be your lawful wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward until death do you...
James Milliken's portrayal of Deputy Sheriff Herb Baker in the 1952 film High Noon is marked by a quiet strength and a subtle tension that underscores the film's atmosphere of looming danger. Milliken's Baker is a figure caught between duty and the harsh realities of a town on edge, embodying a steadfastness that contrasts with the unfolding chaos. After High Noon, Milliken's career continued steadily, but never quite reached the same level of prominence. He appeared in numerous westerns and action films throughout the 1950s and 1960s, often cast as rugged lawmen or soldiers, roles that suited his tough, weathered screen presence. Off-screen, Milliken's life was shadowed by struggles with personal demons, including bouts of alcoholism that occasionally affected his work. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he avoided major scandals but lived a life marked by quiet hardship and a degree of isolation. His later years saw a retreat from the spotlight, with fewer roles and a more private existence. The last known information places him living away from Hollywood's glare, with little public record after the 1970s, leaving a mysterious silence around his final decades.
Goodness gracious.
Grace Kelly's portrayal of Amy Fowler Kane in the 1952 film High Noon marked a pivotal moment in her acting career. As Amy, she embodied a complex blend of strength and vulnerability, portraying a woman torn between love and moral conviction. Her restrained yet powerful performance hinted at the depth she would bring to future roles. After High Noon, Kelly's career soared, with iconic performances in films like Rear Window and To Catch a Thief, establishing her as a symbol of classic Hollywood elegance. Beyond the screen, her life took a dramatic turn when she married Prince Rainier III of Monaco, stepping away from acting to embrace royal duties. This shift brought intense public scrutiny and personal challenges, including the pressure of adapting to a life far removed from Hollywood glamour. Rumors and tabloid scandals occasionally shadowed her, though she maintained a poised public image. Her later years were marked by a tragic car accident in 1982, which left her in a coma and led to her untimely death at 52. Despite the brevity of her life, Kelly's legacy endures as a figure of enigmatic grace and resilience.
May I ask you something?
Sure.
Who is Miss Ramirez?
Mrs. Ramirez?
Gary Cooper's portrayal of Marshal Will Kane in High Noon stands as a stark embodiment of solitude and moral resolve. His character faces abandonment and looming death with a quiet intensity that mirrors Cooper's own struggles beyond the screen. After this role, Cooper's career saw highs and lows, He won his second Oscar for Sergeant York in 1941, but grappled with typecasting and the shifting tides of Hollywood. Behind the scenes, his life was marked by turmoil, including a well-documented affair with Patricia Neal, which brought scandal and emotional strain. Cooper battled chronic health issues, notably heart problems that worsened in the 1950s, forcing him to reduce his workload. Despite personal hardships, he remained a respected figure in cinema, known for his stoic charm and complex characters. His final years were shadowed by illness, culminating in his death in 1961 from cancer. The last known details of his life reveal a man who carried his burdens privately, leaving a legacy defined by both cinematic greatness and personal resilience.
Just a minute! Everybody quiet! Keep it orderly. You had your hand up.
Morgan Farley's portrayal of Dr. Mahan in the 1952 film High Noon stands out as a quietly intense presence amid the tension of the story. Farley imbued the character with a subtle weight, embodying the moral complexities of a man caught in a harsh, unforgiving world. His performance, though not the centerpiece of the film, left a lasting impression through its restrained power and the dark undertone he brought to the role. After High Noon, Farley's career continued steadily, but without major stardom. He appeared in various film and television roles, often cast as authority figures or professionals, reflecting a steady but unremarkable trajectory. Behind the scenes, Farley's life was marked by challenges that contrasted with his calm screen demeanor. He faced periods of financial difficulty and struggled with the shifting tides of Hollywood, which often left character actors like him in precarious positions. There were whispers of personal turmoil, including strained relationships, and battles with the loneliness that sometimes haunted actors of his era. Despite these hardships, Farley remained a dedicated craftsman until late in life. The last known records indicate he lived quietly away from the spotlight, with little public information about his final years. His legacy is one of a steady, if shadowed presence in classic American cinema, a figure who carried his burdens with quiet dignity.
Will you come down to that depot with me?
No.
Lon Chaney Jr. took on the role of Martin Howe in the 1952 film High Noon, delivering a performance marked by a brooding intensity that underscored the character's inner turmoil. His portrayal was a quiet force, carrying a weight of unresolved conflict that added depth to the narrative. After this role, Chaney's career continued to be overshadowed by his personal struggles. Known primarily for his work in horror films, his life was marred by battles with alcoholism and depression, which often affected his professional reliability. He faced financial difficulties despite his fame, and his marriage to actress Hazel Court ended in divorce amid rumors of infidelity and substance abuse. His health declined in the late 1960s, exacerbated by years of heavy drinking. Chaney passed away in 1973, leaving behind a legacy defined by his haunting screen presence and the tragic complexities of his private life. There have been no significant updates on his legacy beyond the continued appreciation of his work by classic film enthusiasts. Tom London's portrayal of Sam in the 1952 film High Noon is a brief, yet pivotal presence, embodying the tension and moral complexity that define the narrative. His character, though not central to the plot, adds depth to the community's uneasy stance towards the looming threat. After High Noon, London's career did not follow the typical trajectory of rising stardom. Instead, his life took on a shadowed path marked by personal struggles and professional decline. Known for a prolific career in westerns, London faced significant hardships, including financial instability and health issues. Rumors of disputes with studio executives and brushes with the law surfaced, painting a picture of a man wrestling with inner demons and external pressures. Despite his early success, the latter part of London's life remained shrouded in mystery, with scarce reliable information about his final years. The last known details suggest a withdrawal from the public eye, leaving his ultimate fate uncertain, but tinged with the loneliness that often accompanies faded fame.
No. That's funny. I figured you carried a lot of weight. Maybe they didn't ask me. Maybe they figured you...
High Noon remains a timeless classic that not only shaped the Western genre, but also left a lasting impact on the lives of its cast. Gary Cooper, who won an Oscar for his role, faced personal struggles with health and career choices afterward. Grace Kelly, who played the strong-willed Amy, went on to become a princess, forever changing her life's path. The film's tight, real-time storytelling and moral questions challenge audiences and filmmakers alike, making it a landmark in cinema history. Did you watch High Noon during your childhood? What memories or feelings does it bring back for you? Maybe it was a family favorite or a moment when you first fell in love with movies. Share your stories and memories in the comments below. Hearing your experiences helps keep the spirit of this film alive for new generations to discover.
What I want to know is this. Ain't it true that Kane ain't no longer Marshal?